You know, as I talk to people, I'm often reminded of an experience of mine when I was in the military. I served in the Marine Corps, 2 tours of duty. And I remember an experience over in Japan. It was an afternoon, and I was walking off base, and I noticed that there were 2 Marines that were walking in front of me, and a stray dog just happened to be there, and so they tried to call the attention of the dog. And so they did what we normally would do. They whistled at the dog didn't respond. They clapped their hands and said, "Here, boy," the dog didn't respond. Then all of a sudden, a few seconds later, a Japanese national comes outside of the home, talks to the dog, gives a command to the dog jumps up, goes up to him. The one Marine turns to the other and says, "Well, will you look at that? The dog speaks Japanese." As I think about that, I think about the everyday decisions that we make. The decisions that we make that affect changes in our community. The decisions that we make that affects investment, policies, the politics of our community. And I think about each and every one of us having those experiences. Field of Dreams is the possibilities if we were able to garner, if we were able to deliver the capacity of the immigrant experience. That's myself in the middle. I was born and raised in a rural migrant community. As a young boy, I harvested just about anything. Papas, tomate, lechuga, pepino, you mentioned it. Manzanas, uvas, fresas, all of this. When I was young, the one thing that I envisioned, the one thing that I thought I would be was the foreman. And that was the guy in the tractor. And the reason why I thought that is because in my world, that was the person that had all the decision making. And so that was my world. When I was young, I was introduced to these characters. It's okay. And that shaped the mindset of many of my peers. And I thought that those stereotypes of that era were long and gone. And then I see examples recently in the Miami Heat and the San Antonio Spurs playoff where young Sebastian de la Garza, de la Cruz, he's the young mariachi singer who went up and sang the national anthem. Then all of a sudden he started to get tweets. The tweets went rampant. They started saying, who let him in from Mexico? And he's been here less than 4 hours. He's already singing the national anthem. And I thought to myself, we still have yet to embrace what diversity is. And so I read a book, and it was a book about a young man who had gone over to Harvard, attended Harvard, and was running for mayor of San Antonio. And at that point, I thought, you know what? The dream is our dreams too. It's everyone's dream. The American dream is everyone's dream. And I learned that the immigrant experience, the experience of entrepreneurship, the yearning to be successful, the yearning to support education, many others, is everyone's dream. I met a gentleman, Richard Herman, who's the author of Immigrant Inc. And Richard went around the country and he started talking to immigrant entrepreneurs, CEOs of Google, eBay, Sun Microsystems. And what he learned is that the future of the economies in many communities is going to be how well we embrace diversity. An economic development guru of mine, Stu Lichter, in presenting to Ohio State University, said there are 3 things that communities need to have to be progressive. One is they have to have a strong education base. The second thing is that they have to have a good and low cost for infrastructure. And the third one is they have to embrace diversity. In a recent presentation, Honda Vice President said the same thing. He said, diversity is a reality in our world. Diversity is a reality, but inclusion is a commitment. Here I am with members of Saltillo, Coahuila. This was, as I was over in Canton, Ohio, we did a sister cities relationship based on economic development. And one of the things that we did is we partnered with communities in Mexico and Latin America to bring infusion in our community. You see, one of the things that we have in our communities is we have a disinvestment. We don't have investment in our neighborhoods. And one of the things that many other communities have done, progressive communities have done, is they've invested in those through the immigrants that live in those neighborhoods. Mayor Rahm Emanuel last year was meeting with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Chicago. And he said to them, he said to the leadership, he goes, next to the Miracle Mile, which is in Chicago's downtown, next to the Miracle Mile, the next best, highest grossing, revenue generating district is Calle 26, La Villita, Mexican Village in Chicago. And he said, I wish I had 2 more miles of this. And so I look at our communities in the state of Ohio, we have yet to have one ethnic corridor like that. I've spent a couple of years in Cleveland, and I noticed Asian Village has been a great gain for the community. Little Italy and some other ethnic villages. Recently, we were successful in attracting the Global Business Connection over to Cleveland. And this is something that with local leadership, we're trying to bring here to Toledo, Ohio. And this is how do we nurture and grow local entrepreneurs by being able to capture that immigrant experience. One thing that we should know about the Latino community, it is not a community that's going away. There are 53 million Latinos in this country. Predictions are that currently, right now, if we were to say, put Latinos together as an economy, it would be the 12th largest economy. In 2015, Latinos will make up the 7th largest economy in the United States. Latinos right now make up 53 million of US residents. In 2050, 1 out of every 3 citizens living in the United States is going to be Latino. 1 out of 3. If the trends continue the way that they are right now, by the year 2100, 50% of the people living in this country will trace their roots to Latin America. Earlier, I talked about a gentleman that had aspired to be mayor. That was Henry Cisneros, mayor of San Antonio. Henry Cisneros now goes around the country and he develops corridors, ethnic corridors, in many communities, not even Latino. That's a picture of myself and Henry, and we're talking about economic development down the Latino corridor in Cleveland, Ohio. I think Toledo is ready for that. Toledo, the Broadway corridor, could become that Via Latina. And so what I challenge you to do today is to reimagine a Toledo that is built upon the same premises that the old Toledo was built upon. And that was the spirit of entrepreneurship that came with the first immigrants here to this city. And let us not close ourselves to the opportunities that are possible if we're able to reimagine. I'll close with the saying from our days in the migrant fields. There would be teatros that would go out in the fields, and that was to entertain and to tell a story, a dicho in our community. And one troop had this saying, una gota, aun ser poca, con otra se hace aguacero, which means one drop by itself is just a little, but with another becomes a downpour. Let's reimagine a downpour of creativity, of international investment in this community. Thank you. God bless.